Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today, we're talking about big, splashy spells.
It's fun spells to spend a ton of mana on.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We have content every single day, and there's a TCG player link in the description. You can click it, buy cards, and check out, and when you start with the link, you help us without spending any extra money. It's honestly fantastic.
And we are fast approaching 50K. If you would like to help us with our celebration, we have a P.O. box in the description. Send us anything PG that you want, anything, and we'll open it in front of this camera for everyone to see.
It's going to be super cool and super different, but let's get into what this video is.
Yes, this video is big, splashy, fun spells. These aren't going to be the most powerful things. Like, obviously, we're not putting Kratos here.
No.
We're not, obviously, Kratos is worth the 8 mana, and it's not fun, per se. It's just really, really good. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the biggest, splashiest, coolest effects. Cards, and a lot of these are cards that see more play than they should just because of how cool they are.
Yeah, these are like your 110th card. It's never going to make your deck when you're trying to power it up. It almost always gets cut. But they're so cool and satisfying to play. So if you're looking to spice up your win conditions or swap out your haymakers or just put some more big splashy spells in your deck, these are some of the coolest ones you can consider.
Yeah, I think every single one of these cards isn't insanely powerful or broken or anything. Or probably even almost all these aren't the best for their slot. But their effect is really cool, splashy, and awesome. The characters on them are awesome. Just the card itself is awesome in some way, and we'll explain exactly why that is as we get into it.
How about an awesome character?
Well,
to start,
the first one, Elspeth Sun's Champion. This card is super medium. It's a bad board wipe. It's making 3 tokens. It's a planeswalker, so you can attack it. But this is the best and coolest Elspeth we have ever gotten.
Yeah, she's, I think, my favorite Magic character just because she's like the one that has writing and has a personality and like does things. I just like Elspeth a lot. A lot of people think she's cool, and they're really willing to, overlook some power drops to put it in their deck, and I think it's fine. If you want to try to get that emblem, the emblem's really good.
Oh, well, yeah. I think Elspeth, the tough thing about her is she is good if you get an untap with her. I think 6 tokens for 6 mana, that's where
solid.
You got your money. Now you got your mana's worth, and you're really in. The trouble is making sure or guaranteeing you're going to untap with this. That's her weakness. But God, it's Elspeth. This is the apex of Elspeth cards. Not even close.
Yeah, the new one was such a letdown.
Yeah, this one is so cool. I absolutely love Elspeth as a character, like you said. And this card, just like it rules standard for a long time.
It was the card in a format with Thoughtseize. I think it was still the card.
Yeah, I absolutely love Elspeth Sun's Champion. What do we have next?
It's 2 cards, but it's also 1 card. It's Bruno the Fading Light and Gisela the Broken Blade, which they meld into Brisella, Voice of Nightmares. It's just like this 9/10 monster vigilant thing. They're both like really bad. They are terrible cards. I mean, Gisela is a vanilla mythic, and you kind of just suffer that because Bruno's at least it'll do a thing. It's a 7 mana. You get 2 bodies for it. But when you get them together, this is like the coolest creature that's ever been made. It's 2 angels fused into an Eldrazi nightmare that has every ability. It actually stops a reasonable amount of spells. Any deck I play against, or any deck I play, is not going to be able to cast spells after that flips.
Yeah, do you know what their flavor text are? Because it's really cool.
Well, yeah, Bruno's is she only sees Emrakul's whatever, and then Gisela's like she only hears Emrakul's whispers.
Yeah, the murmurs. I love that. And then on the back, it's really sad because it's Sigarda. Sigarda's super sad when she sees what's become of her sisters. It's
like when she saw what became of him, she could only weep.
Yeah, it's like the saddest little story told on the card. But both these cards, I think Gisela is absolutely an unplayable piece of poop for Commander that I would never put in a deck. Unless I was playing Bruno, the medium card.
Yeah, then now you just have to take your crapshoot of hey, I hope I don't draw Gisela by herself, or I hope I draw Gisela after Bruno, or together, or mill Gisela or something, and then you can get the dream. If they had partner, this would be a sweet deck.
I agree. Yeah, completely. These cards, getting them. This is a classic, like you always say, achievement unlocked.
Yep.
You get there. Also, do you know that's just an Xbox reference to
Yep.
Yeah, okay. But I didn't know if you did because you don't play many video games. But regardless, you just achievement unlocked. I did it. I flipped into this thing, and it's not even that good because if they just have an overcost or removal spell,
board wipe,
it's like, oh, well, I certainly jumped through a lot of hoops and
look how big my creature was.
And I put 2 medium cards in but they meld and they look cool. It's so cool.
I want more meld. I think I want more Melded. Number 3 is Avison, Angel of Hope. This card reads like a dream and just plays like a wet fart because it's going to get swept up into a board wipe and get exiled by something. But making all your permanents indestructible, possibly with a board wipe, is one of the most satisfying things ever. So it's totally one of those, I'm going to just try to reanimate it and see what happens types of cards.
Yeah, I think this card is decent. Its effect is worth 8 mana. The problem is it's on something that is so removable that it gets so troublesome. There's Swords to Plowshares, there's Deadly Rollick, there's Board Wipes at Exile. These things, she can just get bounced, and then you feel real bad because you spent 8 mana on this. Yeah, I know you can reanimate her. She's so cool. And I think the reason she's in so many decks is the coolness, and it's one of those things where it's like, you see how good she is sometimes. Like, yeah, if she stays in the battlefield for 2 turns, you're probably never, ever, ever losing that game because, yeah, her effect is that powerful.
Yeah, if they can't remove her or you have some, like, protection to back her up, GG.
Yeah.
It's done. I mean, I don't know. If you want, like, if you're playing blue, you hold up counter spells, or, like, I don't know, the first thing that came to mind was, like, Spectral Ward. If you throw a Spectral Ward on this, probably going to win.
Yeah, it's tough to lose at that point. Absolutely, Avison, such a cool way to spend 8 mana. Also, the character, amazing.
I mean, that angel means business, and she has a full story arc.
Her story from beginning to end is chef's kiss.
It is. What about blue cards?
With the blue, this one is one of my favorite cards. I love it so much. It's Aminatu's Augury. You reveal the top 8 cards, and you hope to hit all different types because it lets you play one of each. It's so cool.
Yeah, this is a big clunky spell, but I've seen it be really good. If you have Time Walks in your deck, or like this is kind of like pair Aminatu's Augury with every other card on this list, and if you cast a wide enough net, you're gonna catch a fish.
Yeah,
and win.
Exactly. And like the dream is there are 8 different things it can cast.
Right.
One is a land, and then
is one of them tribal?
None of them. It's not tribal.
Okay.
It's everything but tribal. And then you just want to hit everything. Or is it 7? Whatever. It does not matter. This card just cast. You can cast. The whole dream is you can't pay 8 mana and you cast 16 mana worth of spells. It's like, yeah, obviously your deck is huge, big, clunky, overcosted, but it's so cool.
I mean, I'll scoop to a time stretch off this because there's other stuff coming with it.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah. I think Aminatu's Augury might be my favorite card on this whole list. I'm a big fan. Like, I don't know. I've played it before and it's just so cool. The art. Also stellar. Seb McKinnon obviously killing.
Blowing moths into existence. I don't know. It's going to be hard to compete with number 8, but we'll get to that soon. Number 5 is Shark Typhoon. Whenever you cast a spell, you get a shark equal to the spell's cost, and you can cycle it to make a shark. Sharks, Sharknado, goofy-ass card. This is one of the weirdest cards they've ever made. Very playable card. And if you untap with it, you're probably a favorite to win.
Yeah, Shark Typhoon is one, a reference to Sharknado. They're flying sharks. It is so goofy, silly, and everything that I just, including this in my spell slinger deck, feels worth it because of how it's like, how would you win the game? Well, I attacked with a bunch of flying sharks, obviously.
They couldn't stop my tornado full of sharks.
It's such a dumb design, like goofy-wise, that I can't help. If I ever build a spell slinger deck, it's going to be one of my win counts. I got to go for it. I know I'll probably tap out, I'll probably die, and I'll be like, whatever. But the one time I untap with it,
yeah, I feel like I'm losing out. Like in Modern and Standard, you cycle this all day, but I feel like I'm losing out in Commander if I cycle this. Number 6, Mind's Dilation. The spell everybody freaked out about and then nobody played because they realized real quick that it's not, unless you're in a specific meta where, you can slow down and your board's going to get clogged and stuff and no one's packing a lot of Nature's Claims and stuff, it's going to just trigger twice and then die. And sometimes you hit a land. You can't stop the brick, which is the worst part.
Yeah, there's a lot of bricks. Every single land, every deck is playing, let's estimate 36 is the average to 40 for a deck. Now, that's 1/3 of everyone's deck is bricks.
I would also factor in, I think every deck has about 5 cards that are bricks in like every other deck.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you hit a Wood Elves or something, it's like, okay, don't have a forest.
Yeah, I'm not in green, so it doesn't do anything. So there's other bricks too. There's just such a high chance. And this is because this card's effect has the potential, like the ceiling, to be like one of the greatest thing, like do amazing things. Like if everyone's like, okay, that thing whiffs a lot, and then you go a whole like 3 turns, and that's like, oh, he's cast like 20 mana worth of spells. That ceiling makes it such a huge target for removal.
Yeah, and you just cheat so much mana if this stays out, though. It's a really sweet card. It's another achievement unlocked. It's like just all you have to do is protect this, and you will win the game. Accidentally, everyone will just give you stuff and you'll win. You can counter their spells off this, right? If they cast a spell to try to kill it, and you flip a counter spell, you can just counter their spell. Right?
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm a huge. This is another one of my favorite ones on the list. This card is one of the reasons I want a Grixis player stuff. Like I have Tibble as my Rakdos player stuff deck. There's blue cards too. I want that Grixis play my opponent's stuff deck. It sounds so fun.
It's coming, I'm sure. The next one, number 7, is a black card. It's Arcane of Cruelty, ETB. They lose 3. You gain 3. Discard a card. Draw a card. Sacrifice a creature. It's just all the words ever, and you replace it. This is the perfect reanimation target. It's just like for 8 mana,
it's a little much.
That's a little below par.
It is, and like that's exactly like you said. It's just below par for what you can get for 8 mana and Commander. But this card is so cool. The immediate replacement of itself, gain life, your opponent loses life. You can, if somebody has a really big threat and they only have 1, it gets rid of it. I want to play this card in something, but I have no home for it. Maybe I can try it in my Amanatu Flicker deck for fun.
That's a good Flicker target. We have this card in our Commander Cube. It is so much fun to cast and play. You don't feel like you're instantly dominating, but you just feel like, that's a really good swing for me. I hope this card stays out. I feel really good about life.
If you want our objective opinion on it, you can watch our video where we reviewed Modern Horizons, and we gave it like a D+. Maybe it's a C- at the like best for this card, but sometimes Commander is not about playing all the best like spells in the format because that's CDH, and yeah, some players do that, but sometimes you just want to go. I want to play the fun card. I want to play Arcane of Cruelty and get all of the sweet effects. That's what all these cards are.
Except for number 8, which is Grave Titan. This is actually a reskinned uncommon from Innistrad. It's called Moan of the Unhallowed. And they just kind of put it on a 6/6. And then they said, let's give a 6/6 Death Touch. Now, this one I would not recommend because it's terrible.
This card is very cool.
But he's got zombies coming out of him.
He is a big, giant Titan. The Titan cycle is iconic.
There is a reason this is a meme on the channel.
It's one of the biggest, splashiest cycles of all time. It ruled limited. It ruled standard for a while.
Oh yeah,
this card is awesome, and the fact is, it's a giant that just has zombies pouring out of its guts. It's amazingly cool and represented. And we don't think this card. When we said this card was unplayable, we met and we specified in the video.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that we were talking about powering up your decks to a very high power level, but Grave Titan is still one of the funnest cards. It's just a solid C. It's nothing crazy or broken, but it's so cool and splashy that you're gonna you can put this in your zombie deck and feel good about it because it's so cool. Do I think it's the right choice in a zombie deck? Absolutely not. It would never go in my zombie deck because I'm not biased towards it, but I think this card is awesome.
I think the best way to sum up Grave Titan is it's as cuttable as it is cool. This next one is a card we haven't really talked about in a while, but we do have opinions on it. It's Soren Markov. This was one of the biggest boogeymans in the whole format, and I feel like people are talking about it less, but a lot of people still hate it. And honestly, I'm totally apathetic to Soren. I don't think Soren is in terms of power. In terms of power, I could care less. I don't think this card is that strong. You're dealing 30 damage, which is a lot of damage for 6 mana, but it's still not enough to justify paying 6 mana to deal 30 damage. It's not even a third of the work you have to do to win the game. And it's 6 mana. If you add 1, 2, 3 mana to that, you should be winning. There's spells and combinations of cards that just win you the game at that point. So for power, just wanted to throw that out there because we haven't yet in a while. Soren is kind of not. I wouldn't really play it if you're looking for power. But what about if you're looking to snipe somebody and make them hate you?
Yeah, this card I don't think is very fun for your opponents because I hate how this card is a hoser to life gain decks just randomly. It's it is the most miserable thing. It's this card is not that great or anything, but it's I'm playing my life gain deck. I gained 1,000 life. I'm doing my thing. 10. It's it drives me nuts every time. But it's Soren. This is one of the coolest vampires in all of Magic. I don't even think it's close. I can't. I know some people love Baron Sengir.
There's Edgar.
And there's Edgar, but I think that Soren by far is way cooler. He's millennia old. He's so old.
He's been through a lot, and he's never quite a good guy, never quite a bad guy because he barely has any story, despite being alive for tens of thousands of years. But he's a really cool guy. I love. This was your introduction to Soren. Here he is. What does he do? He just cuts your life in half, and that was in Standard. He cuts your life into a quarter in Commander.
Yeah, he can do a lot of damage. That minus, the reason you play him is for his minus. I have seen him one time, Ultimate.
Yeah, this is the closest a Planeswalker's ever been to a sorcery.
Yeah, it really is. It's basically you just minus to put, it's 6 mana sorcery, put somebody to 10 life. That's basically all he does.
Right, and we don't have that card. That card doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. So Soren is pretty dang cool. This next one is another one of my favorites on the list. There's so many cool ones because we made the list. We picked the ones we really like.
Weird.
It's a Tali, Primal Storm. It's 6 mana, 6/6. It attacks. You play the top card of everyone's library as long as it's not land. You get so much value out of this. The weakness is, and the problem with a Tali is you never attack with it. He always dies.
6 mana, 6/6. You gotta wait. This is just you wait until I untap. Give it haste. And now we're talking about a different story because if they're tapped out or they don't have interaction, you're gonna get a 4-for-1 right away just because it has haste and then smack somebody for 6. This card's really cool. I don't even hate it in the top end of like a higher power deck. This I could see being like if you have a really high power beatdown deck or big creature deck or even just an aggro deck. I could see this as like your 1/6 drop that just has haste and smacks in with some other synergy.
I have to not put this in all my red decks because I want to put it on my red decks.
It
Like,
has no synergy with anything, and you try to play it.
it's just like, well, I had it in. I obviously have it in my Tibble play my opponent's stuff deck. That
Of course.
it makes perfect sense in that deck.
Of course.
Then I put it in my Stompy deck. I'm like, I can't just put I already have 17 6-drops, and I can't just throw another one in. Even though I want to play it, I gotta pull back because I'm so high on this card. It's like it's just one of my favorite of these effects. It's so cool.
It's a really cool card. Just they threw this amazing effect on a bulk rare, and I'm really happy because it means it's not going to be one of those Urzas that costs $1 trillion. Fire Emancipation is next. Triple ya damage. You thought they were going to print another damage doubler. No. We're adjusting for inflation. This is a damage tripler, and it's supposed to make you go, what? They said triple? And then they're going to do a quadruple one 10 years from now, and you're going to go, because it's cool every time.
It is such a cool splashy effect. You get in for like it does have haste. That is one of the good things about this card is if you have a field already built up and you can push through damage, you play it and you just triple the damage you were going to do. That is pretty strong. The trouble is this is a huge target for removal because it is such a big splashy effect that it draws everyone's attention. But that's not really a downside. Things that get hit by removal, as long as you can get some damage in right away. I actually like this card. I think it's a little more powerful than we give it credit for.
One of the better ones on here.
Yeah, that's fair.
For what it's worth. Better than Grave Titan, if it's ever going to meet that threshold. It's like an overrun that players could discard certain cards to counter at any point.
Yeah, it's super strong. You want to make sure you just have some trample, ways to sneak through damage, make sure your stuff's not chump blockable.
Yeah.
Though, one thing it does also do is make your guys trade up. The problem with this is it belongs in a creature-centric heavy deck. And it's a non-creature. It's one of those things where it's like,
how many of those do you need?
gotta balance it out. It's like, you need like, there's probably like 10 to 20 non-creatures you're playing in your creature deck or whatever. That might be a little higher than that. Regardless, you're playing some number, and this has to be one of them if you're gonna do it. So be careful.
A lot of competition. What is the next one?
This one I think is one of the worst ones on this list.
Yeah.
When it comes to power, but it is also one of the coolest because it overcomes the biggest gap between power and coolness and fun. It is Star of Extinction. This is literally like Magic's depiction of the comet that killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That is like so cool. You destroy one land, which is awful. It doesn't even matter.
Realistically, that should destroy like a third of the lands or something. I don't know.
I know. It's the Star of Extinction. It's literally just crashing and just killing all the dinosaurs. But it gets rid of a land and it just kills every creature on the battlefield because it deals 20 to each.
This is the card you can just picture in your head. Like, I know exactly what this looks like in my head. The rest of these, maybe not. Maybe I can't show you what Atali casting spells off the top looks like, but I can fully imagine what a Star of Extinction looks like, just annihilating every creature, all life on the board.
Like you literally the star, whatever the land is you're hitting. Let's say you're hitting a mountain. Just doesn't matter. You can see the mountain. You see the star come. Boom!
Here comes a giant fist.
And here comes a giant fist.
There comes a giant fist.
Yeah, and it's just bam, it just blows up and everything dies because of how like the impact. Like I'm just imagining like the classic explosion, like, and the dinosaurs are gone. They're done.
They're done. Number 13 now it's a really cool card. I wasn't as high on this, but I've seen it cast and it is mega fun. Apex Devastator, 10 mana. You just cascade 4 times. I've lost to this card. You've like demolished a table with this card one time because your creatures had haste and it was like, hey, here's 50 power. This card is really cool because you don't know what you're gonna get, and you're paying a really expensive premium on like a vanilla creature, but then it comes with at least 4 mana worth of free spells. At least
4 spells.
Actually, at least 0 mana. You could hit like 4 Mishra's Balls.
Technically, yes. But this card is a great top end for power if you're playing a giant curve deck. Like if your deck's already.
You know what this is? It's Green Amanatu's Augury.
Yeah, if your deck is already playing like a 3.5 average deck where it's like, dang, this deck...
Or like 4. 3.5 is more normal. You want like 4, 4.2.
3.5 to like 4.5.
Average mana value.
Average mana value for your deck. Then this card is amazing because you know you're going to get more than its mana's worth. Yeah, this card is absolutely won me games. Yeah, sometimes it stinks. Sometimes you cast it and you don't hit well. You get a mana.
What happens with this is you don't cast it when it's bad. You just can't.
Well, no. What I'm saying is like sometimes you cast it and you don't hit good spells.
Yeah.
And it's just a medium 10-10. It's like, whatever, not a big deal. But it's one of those like, well, when it hits, it is so awesome. Like you said, I got to cast this, like I had Savala on the field already, and like I just made like a ton of my creature set haste, and I just won on that turn based on the back of being able to cast this.
All right, hear me out. You cast Aminatu's Augury, right? And then you hit Star of Extinction to wipe the board, and you hit Atali, and you hit a Haste Enabler, and then you attack with Atali, and you cast Apex Devastator off the top of your deck.
Well, now we're just living in the most in a world where I want to live. What deck is this?
It's such an ideal world that you haven't even imagined it. You didn't even think it was possible for something to be that cool.
No, it would be. I would be so happy after that. It wouldn't. It'd be one of those.
You just be like, I'm done playing Magic now.
It's one of those cool. It's one of those things that when it happens, you're so happy. But when you're playing in a game in like person, everyone scoops. It's like you go, yeah, that was so cool, and then like, yeah,
it's like emotional music playing in your head, and everyone's like, no, we're done.
Yeah,
we scooped 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, something we do when we play, and this won't happen during our gameplay sessions because we will play everything out. But we definitely scoop when things are over because we don't like to drag out games. We like to play as many games as possible.
Yeah, if you resolve expropriate, I'm probably gonna scoop. I scoop 90% of the time to that card.
Yeah, but Apex Devastator, there's so many cool ones. I know we picked them, and that's why I think they're so cool. But they're so cool.
Colossification, also cool. This card is a meme. It's ridiculous. +20/+20, and it taps the creature just so that you can't pull off anything fancy, unless of course you cheat it out of your deck with I'm thinking Sovereigns of Lost Alara. Attack with your commander, any commander with 1 power. Oops, commander damage, lethal. Actually, any commander because it gets exalted. So that's 21 right there.
Yeah, literally
hilarious.
Every single commander becomes a lethal threat unless it has defender and can't attack. This is super. If you can sneak it through, you're just going to win.
It's so goofy, and there's actually cards that bring back auras or something, and like, you play a Boonweaver Giant or something. It's like, all right, it's just a 26/26. Here's this.
I love this card design.
It's so cool.
It's not good.
No,
but it is cool. When cards are so cool in design that they can override not being good, that's amazing, and that's what classification does. This is an F in Commander.
Well, it gets the wheels turning. It's like, what can I do with this?
Exactly.
How can I make this happen?
But that's what I'm saying. This one is like this, and I said the one before was the biggest gap. This one is the worst. This is an absolutely awful Magic card because it taps the creature. Doesn't matter. It's overwrought. The coolness, even the art is amazing. It's a gigantic cat.
Right. Like, and it was like, oh, the crushed village was related to this missing cat.
It's like, it's so awesome. And it's +20/+20. It's literally the biggest plus you can get on a card.
Those are meme numbers. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it makes every commander lethal except for Rogak. That's the only one that
still makes them lethal if you have the Sovereigns.
Well, if
they've exalted.
Yeah, it's just like literally put this on a commander, give it trample, you're gonna eliminate a player.
Yeah, you're gonna have some fun times with that. Nyx Bloom Ancient, this is my vote for most fun. This is an absurd card. I think for me, a little too pricey for me to play it seriously, but this is a mono nonsense awesome card. If you untap with this, the game is so over it's not even funny. You shouldn't even play against us if they untap with it. You're so dead. But let them have their fun because it's gonna be epic.
It isn't over. It's one of those win more overcosted cards.
It's such overkill.
You never really need it in the situations where you play it. You never really need it because you just are already going to take off and win that game. I play an Omnath deck that can just get 10 lands and play easy.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just go pay 7 mana for this, and it nets you mana. It's so cool. It's like, yeah, is that insane? No, but the amount of things you can do with that is so good. If you can go like Nyx Bloom Ancient, then tap 9 mana or tap your other 3 mana, play Zakama.
Untap your land.
How are you ever losing?
I got to have fun with this card by proxy. I cloned yours 5 times. I read a replication did it. It's like, oh, I have literally thousands of mana. I don't know what to do with this.
I'm really big on these kind of cards. I love keeping my decks at somewhere between a 6 and like 7 power level, like right in that gap.
These are the wow factor cards. These are the cards that like you can walk home from a game and be like, that was crazy. Like all these cards, like can't believe he did this.
Exactly, and I throw, like, every one of my decks plays one or two of these. And I think that they're one of the, and like people talk about this all the time, they're one of the core things for Commander. They're what makes Commander unique. You can't just, in other formats, you can't go, okay, I want to play Star of Extinction in Modern.
Right. Let's start with that.
You can't start with that because the trouble is those formats are too competitive and all of that. Commander, people are trying to have fun and trying to do silly things, so you can really get away with this.
You have so much wiggle room because it's a 4-player format. That's the biggest factor in, like, people are going to be generally kept in check. You have more time to do stuff. You can play pretty much anything you want. Like, definitely any one card you could throw in any deck and it won't, like, destroy the deck. Versus Modern, it's like if you play a Star of Extinction, good luck mulliganing twice every tournament. Number 16 is a cycle of cards, most of which are legal. It's Luminant Primordial, Diluvian Primordial, Sepulchral Primordial, and Molten Primordial. They're all 7 mana. They all ETB. They're doing 3 things because you have 3 opponents, and you're going to get a lot of value out of them. The reason they don't see much play is because they're 7 mana.
Yeah, they're all 7 mana, and yeah, they get you decent, sometimes strong effects. I mean, Sepulchral Primordial has real homes. Legitimately, that kind, like when we built the Dungeons precon, that card was one of the best cards in our Dungeons precon.
Oh, yeah.
And it belonged in that deck. But these cards overall, they aren't good enough to make the cuts of most decks when you're trending toward power. They're all super cool, though. I haven't found a home for Luminant Primordial yet. It is probably my favorite.
You're building a Blink deck.
You're right.
Maybe you have.
I don't know. I'm always so worried because I like I said, I include so many of these big splashy silly things
your
already.
Amanatu deck's going to have like Diluvian, Luminant, Sepulchral, Primordial. You're going to have Amanatu's Augury. You're going to have Arcane of Cruelty.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is I put too many big giant splashy spells because I do love that side of Commander so much, and I end up just powering my deck down way too much. I have to meet in the middle somewhere. I can play 3 or 4 of these. When I start playing 6 and 7s, now my deck is really falling off in power.
See, I'm just casting 17 1-drops that synergize with my 3-drop and then building some stupid engine with that. I'm just doing the little tiny goofy side. You're doing the big goofy side.
BZ is the turn the wheels player.
I spin my wheels so hard.
I love casting the big splashy spells and doing the big effects. That's definitely my side of the game.
I'm just here to spin my wheels. That's all I've ever wanted. Just
Yes.
let me draw. I don't even have, just let me, my whole deck is cantrips. I'll just draw my deck out and then concede. Number 17, Chromatic Ori. My God, this is expensive. But it does pay back most of itself, and it fixes you. But, like, that's irrelevant, right? I mean, we're fixed on turn 7. Oh, boy.
Chromatic Ori is not this insane... Like, people think this card is stronger than it is.
Yeah.
But it is cool. You don't want to be ramping on 7. That's not where your goal is. That's not where you're trying to be. I know this can sometimes draw you cards. Ugh.
It's like, the way I look at it, it's 10 mana to draw some cards. Because you're giving up 5 that this could produce and tapping 5. That's 10 in my book. That's a lot.
It is, and that's a ton of mana to give up. This card is super cool, though. It makes you have perfect mana for the rest of the game. It comes out, and it does produce 5 mana right away.
Right, it's not your last play.
It's not your last play at all. And again, this is another one of those ones, like so many on this list, where it's like, if you untap with it, you're probably going to do something crazy, because now you're up 5 extra mana. How are you not doing something insane that time?
I mean, this starts to get really cool if you have ways to untap it. I mean, I know... there's plenty of people that are super stoked about untapping like Gilded Lotus. Like, this is even better than Gilded Lotus. If you can untap this twice, you're just living in magical fairy tale land. Not even Christmas land.
It's also part of combos because if you put it into some infinites, it lets you turn
Draw your whole deck.
draw your whole deck, or like if you have an infinite that makes like colorless mana, turns that colorless mana into colored mana for you. It does do stuff like that.
Okay, I'm going to say right now this has got to be better than Gemstone Array. In terms of like color filtering, that card is miserable. They're like, well, I hope I get infinite mana because this thing sucks. Like, this is at least a card.
If you're looking for a card that for your infinite combo to filter in the color, this is way better than Gemstone Array, because Gemstone Array is just awful.
It's just nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah, I would never play it.
Yeah, it's like, might as well just play Prismite in your deck. It's at least a creature.
Next is Phyrexian Triniform. This is another real stinker. You just don't want to be playing 9 mana for a 9/9 that ties into 3/3. Cool, yes. But then, it's some giant Phorexia monstrosity that dies into 3/3s, and then you flash it back, and it dies into more 3/3s, and you have so much stuff going on when you do this. But it is 12 mana to bring it back. I mean, definitely not a card I would describe as good.
Yeah, you gotta... I don't know how to cheat an Encore cost. I really don't. I don't know how to do that, because you're paying 12 mana, and you end up getting, what, 3, 6, 9... Or, well, 3 sets of 3, so that's a lot of power.
When you do it, you do get a lot out of it. There's so much power to get out of this. like you said
It's
three.
27, right? You get 27 power, but that's also you attacked for 36.
Yeah, you attacked everybody. You got the guys. This card is super awesome, and it does provide a lot of power for its cost. It actually reminds me. It's similar to that of Grave Titan, where it's like if you care about power for mana,
Yeah.
this is one of the best things you can do. You're not going to match this in many other places, but just getting power isn't exactly the best thing to do in Commander. But again, the Phorexia monstrosity that just dies in the it's like a worm coil engine.
It definitely called back to Worm Coil Engine.
Yeah, just like Worm Coil Engine dying into things. They don't have like the lifelink or trample or anything. Still, just it's so much power.
This is exactly the type of mythic rare I want in Commander Legends.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you open this, it's a slam dunk first pick, but it's not like broken. It's not going to wreck the game. It's just a really cool play. And if you get to encore it, good for you. Dragonlair Spider, oh man. One of my favorite cards that I just can't play because it's just so below par, but I have played it in a couple decks, and I love every second of it. Just whenever your opponent casts a spell, you just get a 1/1 insect. I don't know why.
With
I
Tramp?
think part of it is the art, and part of it is just the number of triggers you get. It's like spinning your wheels without even casting spells. They're spinning your wheels for you.
This is one of those where you leave it on the battlefield, and just because your opponents play Magic, which they have to win the game, you're going to get a ton of guys. It'll probably draw removal quickly because everyone knows this is going to add up to like a bajillion spiders in like 2 turns.
But you can't not trigger it.
Exactly.
You always get one spirit.
BZ
One,
absolutely.
insect.
This is one of those cards that's like I don't ever see it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have this urge to put Dragonlayer spiders. But BZ's like, I want it. I want my Dragonlayer spider.
This was one of the driving forces behind me making my tribal orange deck, where every card in the deck had orange in the artwork. And this was like, oh, great, I get to play Dragonlair Spider. That was half the benefit. Like, cool.
Dragonlayer Spider is just a giant spider. I mean, why in the multiverse, why are there so many giant spiders?
They're huge. Like,
they're everywhere.
There's no tiny spiders?
They're-
Like, why are they all human sized? There's never like name one spider that is smaller than a dog in Magic.
Why are spiders in Magic? I don't want to travel the multiverse because the spiders are scary as hell.
You're just gonna get eaten out of nowhere because it's like, oh, this is a spider that can take down jet airliners with its webs. Like, oh, I don't want to live here.
Giant trapdoor spider? That thing
Right.
literally just goes, boop, you die.
And you're done.
Have you ever seen a trapdoor spider actually go?
I've seen a tiny one, yeah.
It's so scary.
They have the little.
It's
like,
usually just like a little bug.
it's like a pit, right?
Yeah,
Like a pit.
Well, it looks like nothing.
But it burrows the pits of the sand falls down, right?
Yeah, it looks like nothing. Like you can't tell it's there.
Yeah.
And that's just goes,
It's so cool.
it's like that's so scary. Like now imagine human-sized ones.
no. Number 20. What is it?
It is Progenitor Mimic. This one is so cool. It is like 6 mana clone, so it's way overcosted for what you're looking for a clone. You want 2 mana for those. But on your upkeep, you get another one. The trick is for your opponents, all these cards are just too expensive and they always get removed.
Trades so far down.
Yeah, and they always trade down. But oh my god, every single time you untap with this, you go.
Now I have another one, but they don't clone each. It doesn't like double each time. The one Progenitor Mimic is the only thing that spits out 1 token a turn. I almost wish it was the other text. It would barely even affect the power of the card.
Yeah.
It would just make it so much cooler.
It's just like you just clone the best thing on the battlefield, and then if you untap, boop, here's another one.
Right.
Boop, here's another one. I think one of the biggest problems with this is that it's old school clones that none of the clones had the legendary thing. I think this one should have. This would have been a perfect.
Oh, the Progenitor Mimic.
Well, no, it should have been like.
It can clone legendaries?
It can clone legendaries. Like,
Gotcha.
that would have been cooler with this card. I think that would have taken it. Like that's probably why it's cool with like Sakashima, because if you copy like an Elishnorn and then you untap and you get a second Elishnorn, oh my god, that's gross.
All right, now you got to settle something for me because this is definitely top 2 best limited cards on this list. I'm thinking it's either Progenitor Mimic, which is nuts, or it's Elspeth. And
It's Elspeth.
You think so over Progenitor Mimic?
I think it's. I think it's not close because it's one color.
Yeah, maybe. But like, what if they're like in play?
The best one to have in play,
They're both pretty stupid.
probably still Elspeth.
It might just be Elspeth.
It's too hard to
'cause she
beat that card.
Doesn't she just go + emblem you lose? Or I think it's +++ because I remember it was attack for like 20 something.
You have to plus 3 times
Yeah,
for sure.
+++ emblem attack for 27 in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the best limited card. These cards are all so cool. And honestly, for me, I think that everybody should play 1 or 2 of these in a deck. Spice up your deck. I am a big advocate, even though we talk a lot about powering up decks because it's tough to talk about like what's fun all the time because it's so subjective.
Everybody has different opinions on that.
Exactly. So we tend to talk about powering up on the channel. I really think most decks should aim for 6 to 7 and put a couple of these in and like power down. I really love that power range personally. And these cards really help you get there because you play these big splashy effects, you have fun with them, and then some of the times you just get blown out, and then that's okay because it makes the game more interesting.
That's tension.
Exactly, and tension and like back and forth is what makes gameplay so fun.
The ebbing and flowing instead of just static. And then
There was
somebody wins.
There was a game the other day, and it wasn't BZ's fault. He just drew Ancient Tomb on Tomb Run.
Oh yeah,
and it ramped him out of control. It's the problem with Fast Man and Gates. That's a whole different story. But like, it wasn't a fun game because there was no tension. He was just in the lead for all but one turn of the game.
Yeah, I was in the lead for every turn except for turn 2.
Yeah, and no, it wasn't turn 2. It was like turn like somebody presented themselves as a threat.
Oh yeah, they were a bigger threat than me
for like 1 second, and then you one-tapped and you're like, no, it's me.
Right, and actually I have 50 lodestone goals.
Yeah, exactly, and I just scooped that. Like
That's pretty hard lock.
That is just a hard
I was
lock.
also attacked for like 55 or something. Anyway, the video's over. Thanks to our patrons. We love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. And I'm making myself uncomfortable by saying this. Joe, now you have to say my thing.
Yes, TCG player link in the description below. You want to spend $0 extra, but get the card you wanted exactly? All you do, click that link, go to TCG Player, support local businesses while you're doing it, and guess what? You get the cards you wanted anyway. You were going to spend that money, and now the Nitpicking Nerds get a kickback. Come on now.
They're living their full-time dream job life?
This is our
because
dream.
of you?
Yeah, I can't even, like, see, I do this every video, but I don't care. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. You've literally made it so I can make these videos for a living, and God, it makes me happy every day.
That's why we do it. We don't like make videos every day so that we can like get into the algorithm or like we're trying to make the most videos possible because we just love sharing stuff.
It's so fun. It's so fun to make these videos, and the more people that watch them, it's so much. It's not just that. Yeah, that makes us more money. It also is that like I want more people to see what I'm making, these cool stuff I'm creating. I'm trying to make the coolest thing with the most appeal to the most people because I want more people to enjoy it.
It's great. Commander's a cool game. I'm gonna honestly just count that as a tidbit. That was pretty great.
Yeah. One thing, Discord. We have a Discord. You can send us DMs. Seriously, we respond to all of our DMs.
About 3-4 per day.
Yeah, literally. If anyone wants to message us, don't be afraid. We are just normal people. Like I can't even explain how averagely normal I am. Actually, I have one little tidbit that's way better, and it's about I'm super introverted when it comes to meeting new people. I'm always so awkward when people on the internet. When people message me, I can be the most personable, easygoing. Well,
yeah, you are a little.
We went to an event and like we had like 6 or 7 people come up to us and say, "Hey, love your content." I don't know how to react to that. I'm very bad at it.
We'll get there.
It's so awkward for me. But that is our tidbit and our video. Peace out, Tribe Scout.